Welcome to Schmitt Tonight. Were you aware that in just a month, President Trump has taken more than 1,000 questions from a mostly hostile media? It's incredible. More than 1,000 questions. Compared to past presidencies, even his own first term, we are witnessing accessibility and transparency that is just a level that is unheard of in Washington, D.C., or really in politics anywhere in the world. Look at the numbers behind me. 161 for Obama, 199 for Trump, first month, of course, 141 for Biden, 1,009 for Trump's first term here in 2025. It's almost weird to know this much about what the government is doing, isn't it? To have this much transparency. Trump may go down as the most open and visible leader that the world has ever known, which makes it all the more entertaining to see the media screaming right now after Caroline Leavitt announced that the White House was commandeering authority from the White House Correspondents Association. Here's what she said at yesterday's White House briefing.
Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join, fear not, but we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility.
So you heard it there. This doesn't relate to the press briefing, to what you just saw. It doesn't relate to that. This is just for pool events where media members are invited in to get some of that intrigue of the inside, what's really going on. Where media members are invited in, as I said, but certainly not entitled to be there. That's what this pertains to. These are usually the events where you have like one camera guy who's sharing the video with all the other media outlets, so it all looks exactly the same on every network. You see Trump in the Oval Office. That's a great example. That's a pool event right there. Until now, that access was controlled by the White House Correspondents Association. And as Caroline said, very little is going to change from this. Today, we can tell you the Huffington Post, Reuters, and some foreign outlet you don't pay attention to were the ones that weren't allowed into Trump's big first cabinet meeting that we all saw on TV today. This is the one where Trump took questions for about an hour today. Most presidents take 0 questions in these pool moments. You'd always see the pool moment. You'd have Biden just sitting there, the media screaming questions. Biden just sits there smiling, and then everybody just shoves everybody off. The handlers let the pool camera film for about 30 seconds. They kick everybody out. Biden doesn't say a word. Yeah, that's a typical pool event. Trump just takes questions for an hour and probably drives his communications team nuts, letting everybody take multiple shots, giving so much transparency. And despite that, listen to the manic outrage from the media over the decision that was made yesterday by the White House.
You're right. They don't seem to understand that. They want to be able to pick who asks the president questions. That goes against decades and decades of tradition.
And the press office trying to sell this as an act of populism, giving power back to the people, when, of course, as Peter says, it just gives power to the administration to control the message.
Yeah, they want to control the message. They want to pick the reporters. They want to control what you think and what you know. It's all very sinister when MSNBC talks about it. I guess they don't pay attention to Trump taking 1,009 questions in his first month from everybody, and 9 out of 10 of those questions were from outlets that hate him. We're slipping into fascism, apparently. By the way, here's how fascism looks at the White House today.
Does that mean that the remaining 1 million or so federal employees now risk being terminated?
Does this reflect a view on your part?
What type of security guarantees you're willing to make?
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Do you have concerns about that, and have you asked Secretary Kennedy to look into that?
Mr. President, would you send U.S. peacekeepers to support the European?
And we only did 25 seconds worth because we didn't want you to change the channel. There was more and more and more questions, hammering the president with questions, usually from hostile outlets, questions. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, other left-wing outlets, all in the room today. They all got questions. They were there for over an hour. More White House access than any of these journalists could ever imagine. To spend that much time at a cabinet meeting? Never. You get 30 seconds, they throw you out like dogs. The New York Times saying the White House is breaking decades of precedent. You know why they're breaking decades of precedent? Because the media broke precedent first. when they stopped serving as a check on power and they became mouthpieces for the government machine when populist Trump showed up in Washington. And that's when everything changed. The relationship with how the media works with the government, all of that changed immediately. The now outraged White House Correspondents Association, which throws their nerd party every year that Trump doesn't go to, has long claimed to be nonpartisan, saying the move tears at the independence of a free press in the United States. And they're nonpartisan at the WHCA. Well, here's the guy who runs the White House Correspondents Association, Eugene Daniels. That's the head of the WHCA. How do you think he votes? Here he is on MSNBC talking about how much Trump hates black women.
He has a hard time running against Vice President Harris because she's a black woman. He held his kind of most angry self for black women, right? If they asked him a question, he would have the worst things to say about them. And so you're seeing that, right?
I can think of three off the top of my head.
Right, off the top of our head. And when he talked about Joe Biden got worse, Harris was born like that, right? That's different. That's a dog whistle.
Okay. He's surprised Trump won't let him control White House pool events. That's the head of the White House Correspondents Association, the nonpartisan WHCA. That's the guy running the show. They say this with a straight face, and they expect you to believe it. They wonder why nobody's watching, right? Of course, CNN's media critic Brian Stelter has come out strongly against this move, as you knew he would. But here was Stelter pushing for Fox to be removed from the Biden White House press pool.
As Fox radicalizes and as it becomes even more and more of a political tool, Zerwick, you wrote a column recently for The Sun about this, saying Fox should be viewed as a political tool. And that raises a question. Should it be a part of the White House press pool? You're saying they're primarily a political tool. So should that be reassessed, Zerwick?
Listen, I really do. I think it's a discussion we need to have.
It's a discussion we need to have. Throw out this huge network because they don't carry Biden's water. Love to see what they want to do with us. A nice reminder of how much different they all sound when their president wins, right? Remember Joe Biden's card? Remember this? We kept seeing these cards pop up, and he'd sit there, Associated Press, Mary. Showing who he's allowed to call on for questions. Biden rarely interacted with the press in the final couple of years. And when he did, you knew it was only going to be a juicy softball. He had a card telling him who was friendly to him, because those are the only people ever allowed to ask him a question, ever. We saw, how many, 20 or 30 questions today from media that's almost completely hostile towards Trump. Biden had a card to tell him who he can and can't call on. And when that was happening in the last term, where was all of this outrage from the WHCA? You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.